And welcome everybody, Brother Goodwin here, Prophecy in the Spotlight. I'm going to read a couple verses to you out of the book of Jeremiah, chapter 49, verse 34 and 35. Let me read these to you. The word of the Lord that came to Jeremiah the prophet against Elam. Now, Elam is Iran, modern-day Iran. The word of the Lord that came to Jeremiah the prophet against Elam in the beginning of the reign of Zedekiah, king of Judah, saying, now there he's just mentioning the timeline here. This word came to Jeremiah right before or during the beginning of the 70-year captivity in Babylon. That's all that's telling us there. Verse 35, thus saith the Lord of hosts, behold, I will break the bow of Elam, the chief of their might. And this passage, as well as chapter 48, has some prophecy concerning the land of Iran as we know it today, Persia, old-time Persia. It's called Elam here. We know it as Iran, right? Or Iran, however you want to pronounce that. And the program today is going to be a discussion of the prophecy surrounding Iran. And we believe some of these things have not happened yet, but may be happening in the last few weeks here. And get you some iced tea. Call your neighbors, your friends, and the folks upstairs. Say, hey, Brother Goodwin and Dr. Hilterbill are on. Come on, get over here. And we'll be back in 30 seconds. Hey, glad to have you listening in today here on the program. We're going to be talking about a very, very important subject, the war going on with Israel and Iran. Now, the date of this recording is June the 17th. We're just 3 or 4 days into it as of this program being recorded. By the time you see this, it'll be a couple of weeks have passed. Who knows? Maybe we're in heaven by then. I don't know. But you're going to learn something big here. You know how I know that? Because I learned something big from an expert on this, and he's sitting right there. And it was last night. I think it was last night. I was sitting in my truck. It was raining. It was 10 o'clock at night. And I was asking Doc his views on some of this. And something he said, and he'll tell you this, it really, really got my attention. I said, I've never saw that before. And he's right. And we're going to discuss some important things this week and next week. We're going to be talking about the prophecy concerning Elam, which is modern-day Iran. Okay, so, Doc, before we do this, you got something sitting over there on the side of the table, that little red gadget. What do we got here?
Oh, I want to remind our folks again, several have already helped us. This is a little radio that can be charged by the sunlight, can be a battery. You can actually wind it up and charge it. And what's neat about it is you can put in here a little mini CD, a DV, or whatever you call that,
USB
little flash drive anyway. And it can have the whole Bible in whatever language and have messages, the plan of salvation, and other things all on that little mini chip that can be put in these, and whatever language, the missionary, national pastors, particularly in these third world countries, especially where you've got maybe no electricity back in that village somewhere.
Yeah.
And the missionaries, national pastors, for $25, we can purchase this, make and put in the chip, and get it to the missionary or the national pastor to be put out. And so for well over $2,000 in the last few weeks have come into our ministry just for this, and much of that's already on the mission field. And it's an opportunity, a great opportunity to use technology to get the gospel out.
Now, as I understand it, Doc, let's say I wanted to go to Mexico and talk to some people on the street, but I don't know Spanish.
Right.
I could put a flash drive in. I could have somebody make a flash drive where somebody is giving the way to heaven in Spanish.
Yes.
Maybe 3 minutes, 5 minutes long, whatever. So I could get a group of people and I could give my broken phrases that I've learned. Vámonos a la iglesia. And I could lay that there and turn it on.
Yeah.
And the audience could hear the way to heaven.
Hear him preach the gospel
in their language.
In their language. And I forget how many languages that they have, but it's many, especially in the remote areas of South America, Central America. And then there are pockets of places now that they are doing this. If you're in the Islamic world, you could have one of these, and the underground church could have it. There's a lot of applications, and the ministry is getting a little bigger, and in a few weeks, the Lord willing, I'll be able to reveal something that's rather large in scale that we're working on. That is an unbelievable project. But anyway, that's out there, and anybody that wants to, through my bookstore, the money comes in and it goes straight to do that.
We've, as I understand, we've already done over $2,000 towards these, and they're already on the field. And so Doc said, "Hey, let's tell the folks about it again." So
it's an
here
opportunity to invest in other people.
Yeah.
You'll never meet them until you get to heaven. Those that'll get saved.
Yeah, and the money doesn't go to us. Doesn't go to Prophetic Spotlight. You go to Doc's website to do that. If you don't know how to get to his site, just go to Prophetic Spotlight. And up at the top, there's Dan's bookstore and Doc's bookstore. Click on Doc's bookstore, and you'll see that gadget on his site, and there's a way to donate the $25 right there. Some folks have sent checks, I know. Yeah. And so, all right. Well, let's jump into this, Doc. And to get started, should we talk about these
just
missile
read that
launchers?
little bit of clip because it's there.
Excuse me. Here's an article. Just come out recently. I think it's
today.
It is today's article. There it is, 6/17. And it says, in the escalating conflict between Israel and Iran, the skies are no longer contested. They are owned. And Israel's long-standing investment in air superiority has become the deciding factor in a war that now looks increasingly one-sided. In just 4 days, Israel has reportedly taken out 120 of Iran's missile launches. And we read about this thing called the bow in here.
Yes.
And that's just a Bible term about warfare, weapons of warfare. Israel has taken out a bunch, 1/3 of them, it says.
Yes.
This is not just a tactical success, it's a strategic suffocation. And so the clock is ticking, he says, and it's just a matter of time. Yeah. Iran is being set back here.
Oh, by a big way.
And by the time this airs, they may have dropped the bunker buster, which I think they're going to. I think they have to.
Well, of course, I'm convinced, and I have a CD. She can put that up there. I have a CD that I recorded several years ago, and it's just exactly what we're seeing today. I've been saying for probably 12, 14 years that there's a time coming when the nuclear program of Iran will be stopped, one way or the other. I've often thought it might even be God making an earthquake, and we saw that a couple of days ago, as well as I knew that Israel could do this as well, or we could. But the prophecy, I think, is important to have a session.
Now, what is this, Doc? Is that a CD?
That's a CD.
Okay, so it's audio. You listen to it. Okay.
And I have a DVD on the Antichrist and technology, and bring some of this into it as well. But what we're seeing, and if you put up that first slide that we have, chapter 48 and chapter 49 covers some judgments that God has pronounced against these nations, these people's group. And in chapter 48, it's basically all about Moab.
Mm-hmm.
And then in chapter 49, it begins with that against the Amorites, or the Ammon, which is the central section of modern-day Jordan.
These are all people groups that interfered or hindered Israel when they came to the Promised Land.
Well, we know that Moab and Ammon are the offspring of Lot in that incestuous relationship. And these are the nations that developed out of them. Moab was the northern section, and Ammon would be the middle section. And then the descendants of Esau are called Edomites in his kingdom. Their kingdom was called Edom. And that's where you would call the southern end of modern day
These
Jordan.
are almost, you could consider these cousins or relatives of the Jews, right?
Yes. They're all interrelated all the way back to Abraham in some way.
Yeah.
But you've got Esau and Jacob, but you've got the sons of Lot, and these are all related.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And but what you find is in chapter 48 and the first two sections of chapter 49 is judgment against these three entities that make up modern-day Jordan.
Now, where are we going to hit on this thing that I mentioned at the beginning that you told me on the phone? Is this right here, or is that later?
This will be part of it, yes.
This is big. I want the people to get this.
What you see here, and then you got Damascus, which is in Syria, and then you've got the prophecy against Kedar, and then Hazor. These are what we would call southwest Iraq and part of Arabia, Saudi Arabia, over in that area. And then the last judgment is against Elam, which today is the southwest part of Iran. And what you're looking at is every one of these are people's group. And if you added to this, and we could find the other prophecies related to it, a portion of Egypt. You put all of this together and you realize that what you're looking at are the people that are occupying the Promised Land.
In other words, the picture of Israel right now is nothing compared to what God gave them.
Israel
it's a great big square almost.
We'll see that in a few moments, but Israel has never occupied, I forget what it is, but they've never even occupied probably 20%, something of that nature, of what was promised to Abraham.
Because God gave it to them, but they had to go and conquer it.
But these are people. But when you read look at verse number 1 here of Jeremiah 49, concerning the Ammonites, thus saith the Lord, hath Israel no sons? Hath he no heir? Why then doth their king inherit Gad, and his people dwell in his cities? That's that was one of the tribes that settled on the eastern side of the Jordan River when Joshua occupied the land. He's saying, why are you Ammonites? Why are you in the middle of Jordan? Why are you occupying the land that belonged to Gad?
See, that's big.
Does he not have any inheritors? Does he have not any? And so when you look at this closely, and we don't have time to walk all the way through these and look at the individuals that were talked about and then put it over modern day, but you cannot help but understand that he is talking here between 48 and the first part of 49. He's talking about the northern and the middle part of modern-day Jordan. And he's saying, you're occupying the land. And Moab, and primarily Ammon, and is occupying the land that actually had been conquered and where the two tribes on the eastern side of the Jordan River did live. He said, you're occupying their land.
So the way this hit me last night, Doc, because I was trying to understand some things, and I said, now I was reading back, and there's other nations mentioned here, And then you said it. All these nations are dwelling on the big picture of the land that God promised Israel, that they've never occupied it all, but but He gave it to them. It's in the Bible.
Absolutely.
And so what's happening here is all these, and you brought this out last night, these nations that chapter 48 and 49 are talking about, including Iran, are nations that are occupying land that God promised to His people Israel.
I don't know. Can you find the slide of I don't know which one it is, but of the promised land? It's down the list there. If she can, when she
is that
finds
the one with
that,
the line around like a square? Is that the one?
She'll find it there in a minute, but I can't remember where.
Yep, keep going. That's not it.
That one right there.
There it is.
That's it. And so that's the land that God promised to Abraham.
Yeah.
And that will be, I believe, the promised land during the millennial reign.
So you're right. There's a little bit of Egypt in there.
A little bit of
all the way over there to
because
Cairo.
Other prophecies said that there'll be 5 cities in that area, what's called Egypt today. There'll be 5 cities that speak the Hebrew tongue, and there'll be a road that'll go all the way from there all the way up into Damascus. That'll pass by the Salt Sea. I mean, all of this is prophecy, and it's going to happen. So what we're looking at here is these are people that are occupying God's promised land.
Yeah.
And so go back to that slide just before it, and we'll see, because you can see where these tribes settled and where we have today. So part of Syria and part of Lebanon and all of Jordan and part of Egypt and all the way over through Iraq, as you just looked at, and into the corner down. That's all the promised land. And so, but that's all that Israel has ever occupied out of that big picture that we looked at. And so you can take that down.
Now, was that the second slide right here? I don't want you to miss any.
Yeah, that was the second slide,
Okay.
I think. Well, but let's go back to the first slide again and look at it, because when you look at chapter 49, you can find the distinct breaks where this is a prophecy, this, and this. And you'll find each one of these that is there. You've got, of course, Syria is referenced because of Damascus, and then Kedar and Hazor. These were nomadic tribes, and they were in what we would call southwest Iraq, across Arabia, in Saudi Arabia, which we just saw that line goes across there. Mm-hmm. And so the prophecies that are taking place, I believe these things are beginning to start fulfilling. And I know nobody that I'm seeing has ever really is talked about Jordan. But there's a time coming when modern day Jordan is not, it just will not be. Because they are occupying, they're right in the center of the land God gave to Abraham. Yeah. And so what we see with Iran, and of course we know Israel was put in a point where they had no choice. Because they could not afford. Hopefully people have learned from history. I mean, World War I, everybody sat back and all of a sudden they realized, wait a minute, the Nazi movement meant what they said. And then they get involved way too late. World War II, it was all about appeasement until all of a sudden they realized, wait a minute, you can't appease these people. You've got to be in the war. And I think that Israel has realized that you cannot wait, because Iran has done nothing but since the Ayatollahs have had really control over this. What's been their say? We have the great Satan in the USA, and you have the little Satan Israel, the Zionist movement. They call it the Zionist movement. Yeah. And so they have said, we're going to annihilate Israel. And every day they got closer and closer to having a bomb. All of it, we've already seen some of these missiles have fallen and have done great damage in Tel Aviv and Haifa and other places. What if only one of them had a nuclear head on it. That's
Yeah.
all it would have taken.
Yeah.
And so Israel has been put in a position, and America's backing has finally said, you're right. We've tried to talk with Iran. We can't do it. And so they gave the green light, and Israel has done what they've done. And
All right.
if they keep going, won't be long, they can destroy all of those sites.
So let's pause right there. I want to say a couple things about the ministry here, and then we're going to come back and continue with this important subject about the prophecy of Iran that we see. But we find it's not just about Iran, is it? There's several nations here, and it just happens to be the nations of people that are on someone else's property.
Yeah.
This is property God gave to the
Right.
Jews. And so Prophecy in the Spotlight is a viewer-supported ministry. And it costs a lot of money to be on television. We're on several networks. We're on YouTube. We're on Rumble. We're on radio. We're on several others, BBS Radio, which is television. We're on there. Doc, we've got over 100,000 people a month watching on BBS Radio. Some folks don't know what that is, but it's an internet thing.
It's an international thing.
Yeah. And it's television. It's anywhere in the world you can watch that. We've been on that for probably over a year now, and it's growing. I think there may be 120,000 a month now. I don't know, but exciting. There's some other networks we'd like to get on, and but it all costs money, and the TV stuff especially is TV's going out, but there's still a lot of our prophecy people who are dependent upon television.
You know, there's a lot of folks my age.
Yeah.
And
well, I didn't want to say old people,
well, anyway.
but people like Doc.
and
and I talk to them, and I get letters from them.
and a telephone. Yes.
They say, I hope you stay on CTN because it's our only way to watch. We don't have internet. And so that's why people give. People send checks. People call the 800 number and donate over the phone, or they just go to the website and they hit donate, and we appreciate every one of you. And we got some more bills coming up real soon for TV. If you can help, we'd love to talk to you. If you'd like to talk to me personally or Doc, we're happy to talk to you and tell you what our vision is here, what our purpose is, and why we're doing this. And your money will be well spent.
Amen.
The truth is, we never have any money, Doc. It's always gone. But
What comes in goes out.
It goes out to pay TV.
Yes.
Doc and I get no salary.
Nothing. Yes.
And as you can tell, we're fading away to nothing here. But
Well, we have our other personal ministries.
So anyway, if you would like to talk to either one of us about preaching at your conference or your church, contact us. Call the 800 number or email us. Whatever. We'd love to talk to you about that. Okay, Doc, let's get right back into this now. Iran is part of this. It's the biggest part, I guess, but this is a bigger picture than I realized.
It is, and if you can find that slide number 7, I think it's the one I want to look at. And she finds that, no, the one before that, I think. Yeah, right there. The prophecy against Elam here in chapter 49 was given about 70 years before the Persian Empire absorbed the kingdom of Elam.
Okay.
The kingdom of Elam goes all the way back. You'll find
I see. So Elam wasn't part of Persia at first.
No.
But now it's part of that.
As a matter of fact, Elam was there long before Persia had a kingdom. Elam, if you go back to I believe it's the 13th chapter, where you have the war of the kings from the east, led by Chedorlaomer, that came against the 5 kings of the Zoar Valley, where Lot was living.
Yeah.
You'll find that. Well, you'll find that one of those kingdoms was the kingdom of Elam.
All right, so they're way back in Abraham's day.
They go all the way back to Nimrod's time.
Okay.
And so this the kingdom of Elam, its capital was Susa. And so when you get to the book of Daniel, you'll find Daniel was at Susa. That's after the Persians had just taken and absorbed the kingdom of Elam into the Persian kingdom.
Okay.
So the prophecy was given to Elam But now that is in the southwest corner of Iran. So that makes this prophecy against Iran. And there's at least 5, if I'm not mistaken, 4 or 5 of the nuclear projects
Are in that area.
that are in this area that was original Elam.
Wow.
Yes, I think, but that you need to understand why we call it now a prophecy concerning Iran, is because it now is the property of Iran.
So look at that verse you got in the middle, verse 35.
Mm-hmm.
Thus saith the Lord of hosts, behold, I will break the bow of Elam.
Yes.
If what you just said, those nuclear sites are in that area, that's why you think that's what he's talking about.
Well, a bow is what you launch an arrow with. Well, we don't fight today with bows and arrows, but we have launching pads and missiles, And so when he says, I'll break the bow, and you just read a while ago, 1/3 of all of the bows of Elam have already been broken in 4 days of their bombing. And when it says the chief of their might, what is the most important thing that Iran is pushing for in all of the years that you think in the last 2 decades? What have they all talked about? The chief of their might is to have a nuclear bomb to destroy Israel. And so the Lord said, I'll make it so you can't use your chief of your might. And I think that's what we're seeing happen right now. I try to always caution myself not to just let current events interpret Bible prophecy. But when current events fall into Bible prophecy, it's pretty obvious.
Well, Doc, we've got to stop right there. Is this a good place to stop?
I guess it would be.
We're going to come back next week. We're going to continue this.
I'll show you where Elam fits over the top of current Iran, and you'll be able to see where those atomic projects are. I think this is pretty clear to me, cut and dried to me.
Yeah.
I believed it, and I've taught this 12, 14 years at least. And I've had people who've made fun of me. That's okay. I make mistakes. But I'm confident this is what we're looking at.
And so you might be asking folks, what does this mean to us today? It means the light is being shown from God on prophecy. And we're getting out of here pretty soon. The Lord is coming back. Are you ready to meet him?
Yes.
Do you know Jesus as your Savior? Have you trusted in the Messiah? Is he your Savior? If you're not, you better do something about that. Contact us. We'd love to help you with that. All right, next week we'll be back with more on this. Until then, keep your eyes on them skies.